Our city today is booming for people at the top, but it's getting tougher and tougher for working families to pay their rent, to find a job with a living wage, and yes, Mr. Mayor, to find affordable child care. A comptroller must use the tools of the office to close this gap, and I will.
Welcome back to this special Inauguration Day edition of Inside City Hall. Mayor Mamdani was not the only one sworn in on the steps of City Hall today. It's also Inauguration Day for former Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, who was ceremonially sworn in as our city's new comptroller. He gave a speech promising a more just economy. You just heard a piece of it. He joins me now in studio to talk about his new role and how he plans to deliver on those promises. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much, Errol. Thrilled to be here.
Absolutely. What's on the agenda? How do you, using the powers of your office, make life more affordable for New Yorkers?
Well, first of all, we're going to invest pension money in a plan that will help finance what we believe will be tens of thousands of units of affordable housing. This is really the biggest challenge to building more housing in the city, which is lack of financing. And we can do this in a way that's prudent, that protects the assets of retirees, but that can get affordable housing built that we wouldn't otherwise see. And also, we've got to fix city government. And I was very gratified to hear the mayor acknowledge this in his speech. But you want to get a project approved to build affordable housing in New York, you got to add 18 months to the timeline just to get the paperwork and loan documents approved by HPD. That's not acceptable. That means there's families in homeless shelters for another year and a half. So we're going to have a multi-front push on this, both to get more financing to build the housing we need and to fix what's delaying this housing inside city government.
As a city council member and then as borough president, you've tried to get projects built.
Yes.
I imagine you've run into some of the kind of bureaucracy you just described. Where do you think the choke points are that need to be worked on?
In every single agency. We can go agency by agency. I just learned, Errol, that when the city builds its own projects, it hires an expediter to get its own paperwork through city agencies. This is how bad it is. And this is just decades of accumulated, well-intentioned policies that together mean it costs $5 million to build a bathroom in New York City and years to get these projects done. Mm-hmm. And it's hurting New Yorkers. We've got to modernize government. We've got to use technology to get better results for people, including families in homeless shelters who need us to build housing faster.
What happens when trying to streamline those processes run into, let's call them politically protected constituencies, like say the building trades unions or some other kind of group that can't just be sloughed off, that might in fact have legal standing in the form of labor contracts that really require things to be done the way they've always been done?
Yeah, you know, compare New York to Paris or London. You can build much faster and much quicker in those two cities. They're just as old as New York. They have labor protections that are as strong or stronger than New York. So what's going on here? And I think it is this accumulation of laws that are well-intentioned, that are meant to ensure community input, environmental review,
safety?
Yes, safety, design criteria, each one of which has justification. But fighting fraud, for sure, is a major factor here. And I think we need a top-to-bottom review now to streamline these impediments to building and to making government work for regular people.
You made a point in your speech of mentioning something that has been of great concern to this program, which is the delays in payments to social service contractors that provide so much of the services to the neediest in New York. And in some cases, they're waiting for 2 and 3 years. There are billions of dollars at stake. There are companies or nonprofit organizations that have gone out of business while they're waiting. And yet, there's always the specter of fraud that's out there. As the comptroller, you're right in the center of that. You brought it up in your speech today.
Yes.
What do you plan to do about it?
Oh, it's a scandal. There are certain functions that the city government doesn't want to do, and so we contract with nonprofits to do it, whether it's after-school programs, meals for homebound seniors, public health services, et cetera. And those nonprofits do the work, they pay the salaries and the rent, and then we don't reimburse them. And of course, you've got to protect the money against fraud, but you have cases where you've got $1 million contract and there's a dispute over 1% of the contract, and they hold up the whole thing. And meanwhile, the nonprofit could go under. So I think we need more flexible rules. We need to advance money faster. We need to get this money out the door. By the way, it's not just nonprofits, also for-profit companies as well. I hear from many of them that are essentially floating millions of dollars of zero-interest loans to the city. It's not fair. It's going to be one of my top priorities to fix.
Is that something? Is that a case where you, as a former legislator, would consider drafting model legislation? Because there are a lot of bureaucratic fixes that your three predecessors have talked about it. John Liu talked about it. Bill Thompson talked about it. Brad Lander talked about it. And they all made promises around it, and nobody seemed to be able to move the ball.
It's true. You need the mayor to be committed because much of this is in the hands of the mayor. Some of it is in the comptroller's office. There's an obscure board that you've probably never heard of, the Procurement Policy Board, that makes these rules. The mayor has 2 votes, as comptroller will have 1. We're going to use that body to aggressively reform. We've got to get this done, and I'm going to fight very, very hard until we do.
The overarching theme today is that groups, New Yorkers who have been on the outside looking in, are now being brought into the center of government.
Yeah.
Is that going to be true for your office as well?
It's true for my office, and I just want to say how thrilled I am about this moment for the city. And the mayor, in his speech, touched on this theme of serving people who have been left behind, people who are struggling, working-class New Yorkers who are facing mounting challenges, and they should be front and center in the city's policymaking, and they will be in my office as well. It'll be reflected both in the staffing of the office and the policy initiatives of the office. And much of the work we do, we're going to elevate diversity as an important value. We have a huge pension fund, over $300 billion in assets, and it's important that we have greater diversity in the people who manage those assets. It's something I talked about in the campaign, and I'm committed to making progress on as comptroller.
Okay, and in your office, in your inbox right now, is a hot smoking report that your predecessor just published in the closing days of his term, showing that we have a health stabilization fund for retired New York City workers that is essentially broken, insolvent, out of business. There are things that are going to have to be done to try and deal with that. What's your sense of how you're going to proceed on that?
I haven't read the full report yet. I'm going to soon, and I expect to be briefed on it soon. It's true that the fund was created at a very different time when we had very specific challenges because of the emergence of a new healthcare plan for city workers. So we're going to be reviewing the report, and I'm going to be talking to partners in municipal labor and in the mayor's team to figure out the best way forward. And if we need to, chart a new path.
Okay. It's budget season in Albany, and as we find out how it's going to affect New York City, and as we find out more of what's coming out of Washington, I hope you'll come back and we'll be able to talk about it.
I promise I will. Thank you, Errol.
Okay. Thanks a whole lot.
All right.
It is time now for a break. Coming up, we'll break down Mayor Mamdani's executive orders on housing and tenant protections when I'll talk it over with Layla Bozorg. She's the new deputy mayor for housing and planning. That's coming up in 2 minutes. Stay with us.